Hi everyone. So my name is Fabien and I'm the founder of Odoo. And I'm gonna do yeah, there is a big team, huh? So today's presentation is the one I prepared the most. I'm kidding. There is no preparation, no slide, no nothing. Today, the goal of this presentation is to answer your questions. So the idea is that if you have a question, you raise your hand. Could be about pretty much everything, preferably Odoo, but it could be about business, growth, HR, culture, IT, whatever you want. I will just ask you to keep your questions short. Some people like to speak 5 minutes, but I think it's going to be more interesting for the audience if it's short. And if you have 2 or 3 questions, ask one, then we'll give the microphone to someone else, but you can ask another one after you just re-raise your hand. But we'd like to have everyone the opportunity to ask a question. Good? Okay, let's start to raise your hand and I will distribute the microphones. Who wants to start?
Yep, perfect. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Can you give us some advice? How can we build a culture of data quality and process adherence at our companies?
A culture of?
Process adherence and data quality of our users who work with the system.
I have a very specific opinion on process. I think a lot of middle managers abuse process. Every time they see an issue, they create a process to fix the issue. And the more you do that, the more a mess your company becomes. You have a bad quotation, let's do a process to validate big quotations before. And the more you do that, the worse it is for the company. So my opinion on process first is to define the right process. The right way to do that is to teach your team to set up process for things that save time to your employees, but avoid process for things to control or avoid issues. That's the way we operate at Odoo. For instance, we have no process on purchasing, on holidays, on if an employee wants to buy a barcode scanner from demonstration, he can do it right away. No process for purchasing. But we do have a process for development like the run bot. Why? Because the run bot tests everything automatically. It makes the developers save time. So on process, I think the key first is to not so much about how you manage the process, but more about which process you set up. And once you have defined which process you set up, I believe it's all about the tools. It's easy to enforce it when you have a good tool like Odoo. And I'm not kidding, I'm not trying to sell Odoo. You are probably all convinced already, so it really helps. Next question?
Hello?
Yes?
Okay.
Maybe you can stand, because I don't see.
Our sales process starts with CRM, goes over the sales app, and it ends with the field service. And we are trying to show all documents for one customer, but the Odoo Documents app doesn't let us. So when will this be possible?
So I agree. Odoo Documents was not one of the best apps. It's designed for a very specific use case, and for this use case, it's very good. Like handling the administrative task in a workflow way, like all your incoming letters that you dispatch to accounting, to legal, to different managers, and process all these invoices. So it has been designed that way. It's less efficient for, like I would say, a Google Drive, to store information, to search in the document, and to organize in directories. So it depends on what you need. The good news is, in Odoo 18, we closed the gap. So now in addition to everything we were doing good, like handling the process, the new document management system is also capable of being as good as Google Drive on a lot of things like pure storing, searching, accessing, organizing in directories, and things like that. So I believe you should reassess with Odoo 18. Yes?
Okay, thank you. As of today, what will be your advice for dealing with the new versions of Odoo? Is it a good idea to migrate after 1 month, after 2 months?
Okay. First, is it a good idea to upgrade? And I do believe it all depends on what you get as a benefit from the new feature compared to the cost of upgrading. So the technical cost is usually free, you already pay in the subscription, but there is the functional cost and training of your employees and changing the process and testing everything. The reason people upgrade is because the benefit they get are more important than the cost of the upgrade. So typically you will only upgrade if you have a feature that you need, or if you absolutely need something, or it will simplify some more process. That these are good reasons to upgrade. If you don't have that, fine, you can stay with your existing version. And then about the timing to upgrade to Odoo 18, it all depends. Or the way we manage is that first we upgrade odoo.com, and it's going to be done in next month. So next month our own production database will be upgraded to 18 for ourselves. Typically when we do that, we find a few bugs, between 50 and 100. We fix them all. And then we upgrade something like 5,000 customers with the simplest one, like on Odoo Online. It's going to be also next month or the month after. And once we have upgraded something like 50,000 clients, then we open it to the most advanced clients, which means the Odoo SH or on-premise ones. So the platform will only be accessible for Odoo SH or on-premise one beginning of January. Once we get to that time, we still have a risk of some issues, so it depends. The risk of issues doesn't cost money for you, it just costs a little bit of time. So if you upgrade in January, you face, maybe you will find 3 bugs that we will fix, so you have to be ready to test a little bit. If you upgrade in March, it's probably way more mature because we probably have, at that time, upgraded something like 100 or maybe 50,000 database.
Hello. It is really visible that you are making the localizations your focus, both like accounting and payroll now, that you want to have Odoo localized for many countries now. But let's say the legislation, it is a live ecosystem. At least in some countries, it changes pretty often. Every month, every 2 months, you have a new rule, you have a different report, you have let's say, new tax coming in 1st of January. And the users are used that in different software, be it local softwares or, for example, SAP, they get the legislation upgrades automatically. They pay for it something, but they are sure that all the time the localization is working and it's up to date. How are you planning to keep Odoo competitive with the other systems in case you are not doing it? Are you starting to do it, or what's your plan on this?
So it depends. Between accounting and payroll, it's different. In accounting, I think we could say we are very mature because we have tens of thousands of clients in a lot of different countries. And when we get to that level, we fix the issues before the deadlines. Fix the issues. We adapt to the new regulation before the deadlines. So for accounting, we succeeded to be on par with legislation in our main countries. For payroll, we'll try to do the same, obviously. So we have teams dedicated to follow up on these regulations. But there will be a level of maturity that will grow over time. Clearly, the first years, so probably this year and the next year, we will rely a bit more on the client to be sure that he wants us upfront if a new regulation will change, because we might miss something. Even though we will try, I'm pretty sure we might miss something. But when we'll get to a point where we'll have 5,000 clients in a country or 2,000 clients in a country, so maybe in 2 or 3 years, then it's going to be like the accounting, we'll follow regulation before they applied.
Hello.
Maybe one more.
Okay.
It's different country by country, but in some countries we already have contracts with people that update us on regulation changes. We work with Big Fours and everything, or sometimes we have API that we can use to detect all the change. So in some countries we have technical solutions to already be ready. So the answer also is a little bit different depending on the country.
So my question is, what do you think about companies who are basing their products on Odoo community codes and then creating their own UI UX and then selling it for hundreds of thousands to customers?
I think it's great. I mean, Odoo community is our own product, and we love it, and it's our baby. So we are proud of our baby, like every parent. So for me, it's great. Obviously, if they use Odoo Enterprise, it's even better. But we love both approach. Typically, what we used to say internally is that with Odoo Enterprise, we win money. With Odoo Community, we win leads, because we have more users, and more users create word of mouth, and that generates more leads. So it's good. There is some case where it's bad. Actually, and it happens a lot, unfortunately. It's when the partners does it because the partner prefer that, but it's not in the advantage of the client. And we see that a lot, and that's where we sometimes have friction between partners and us. It's a partner who say, oh, we'll give you community, don't worry, accounting is free, it's part of community. And then the client is not happy because he doesn't have what he expects. And actually the client was ready to pay. It's just that he didn't know, he just followed the advice of this partner. So in that situation, that happens quite often, unfortunately, we don't like it, because what we think is that it's always the interest of the client that should be. Sometimes it's community, sometimes it's enterprise. But we see a lot of time where it's not the client who decides, it's the partner, sometimes for the good, sometimes not. So sometimes we have friction of partner, but it's always because they did not respect the interest of the client. Apart from that, we will continue to invest in Odoo community, make it grow, do the most open source we can, and so we love when people use it.
Hi. Do you consider to partner with a sovereign cloud provider in order to provide an Odoo SH fully sovereign for the context? I'm in France.
Yes.
And sovereignty is a key subject for, especially for public services. So that's my.
Yeah, we are in the process of moving more and more of our servers on OVH, which respects your expectations. We have done it already for Odoo Online, and Odoo SH requires more developments for us, so it might happen, but I can't tell you exactly when. Maybe you can? Anthony neither, so. Next question.
Hi. Hello. I'm working for a SME, growing SME that is using Odoo, and my question is, how did you manage to come from the SME level to the company you are now without losing the company culture and DNA?
Okay, that's a good question. How do you grow without impacting the culture? First, I'm going to tell you a story. When we were 20 people at Odoo, people were like, oh, I love this company, it's great, we have a lot of fun, we are autonomous, but it's going to be different when we will be 100. And then we get to 100. And then people said, oh, I love this company, it's great, it's fun, but it's going to be different when we go to 500. And then we get to 500, same thing again, and today we are close to 5,000 employees, and it's still the same. People are still saying, oh, I love the culture, it's great, we have a lot of fun, we have a lot of autonomy, but can we keep the culture? Is it possible? I do believe it's possible, but it requires a lot of effort to work on it. For us, we have set up a series of processes that really helps into preserving the culture. First, we only do internal promotion. We never recruit external manager or VPs of whatever. That way, the team leaders are the ones selected by the employees, and we are sure they are aligned with the culture. When you recruit top experienced manager, maybe they are great, but they don't have the same way of managing than what you used to do. That's the first thing. We only do internal promotion. Second thing, we communicate a lot. You probably have seen it. We have the survival guide from Odooers. Survival guide for Odooers. So we have a book about our culture. Where is it? And that helped a lot. It's a book we give to all new employees. And I was surprised by the efficiency of this book. Sometimes I go to subsidiaries I never went for years, and I'm always afraid of having a shitty culture or things like that. And then I'm very surprised that I'm extremely aligned with what we do in Belgium. And I do believe that the book, the Survival Guide for Odooers, helped a lot shaping this culture because we distribute it to every employee. Obviously, it's not the only communication channel, but formalizing the culture helps a lot to keep it alive for a longer time. So that's the second thing, communicate a lot through the book or Ask Me Anything session. I do Ask Me Anything session in the managers too, like we are doing here, but with our employees from time to time. And the third one is be very strict. don't accept someone that goes out of the culture, or at least you have to educate and teach them. For instance, if someone comes to Odoo experience, if an employee says, oh, I don't want to serve at the bar, we don't accept, it's not my job in our culture, so we'll discuss to him and say, no, we expect more, you have a good salary, we have a good company, but we expect you to participate with all the others and serve our clients like every other employee, including myself. So these three together are quite good at keeping the culture alive.
So, hello, I'm Juan from Jobrad in Germany. We've got a pretty big installation. We've got 500,000 code lines modified. We've got 1.6 billion in revenue going through Odoo. And we find that some things are not easy to do. For example, we cannot upload our database because of data protection issues. So the question is, what's in store for big companies? What are you planning for big customers at Odoo?
In terms of?
In terms of generally, our needs are sometimes different. For example, we cannot upload our database because of data.
For the upgrade, you mean?
Yeah, for the upgrade.
Okay. Your question is specific to upgrade or in general?
In general, so for upgrades, but in general.
Let's start by the feature and then I will go to the upgrade. On the feature, you probably have seen it in the keynote if you came this morning. We have done a lot for large corporations. Consolidation, IFRS, workflows, those are all big companies' needs. So we invested a lot in order to close the gap with the thing, and to a point where I believe today we are even better than the ones that are serving the corporate since 20 years. So on the feature, I think it's not a problem anymore. On the service level, it takes time because the service offer is for large companies is local. And so we have partners that are mature in some countries, but not in others. So it just takes time. And the same for us. We can help very efficiently in some countries. We can go on site, we can build a relationship, things that corporate needs. In other countries, we have to rely on partners, so it depends on the partner. But that's just a matter of time. I mean, with the fact that Odoo has 10 years advance on the market, that the corporate wants it, that all the partners are growing like crazy, it's just a matter of a few years to close the gap on these countries where we are less mature. And now on the upgrade. On the upgrade, we first maybe before the performance, on Odoo SH, we could say with the presentation of Anthony this morning, that basically now on Odoo SH we can handle everything in terms of loads, size, and everything. The remaining point is the upgrade. And on the upgrade, we did two things. We did an anonymization feature so that you can have people who test or who do the upgrade without having access to your data. So now that's live in Odoo. It's in the command line of Odoo. So if I go to Odoo, Odoo help. What am I missing? Yes. Help. Obfuscate. It's the obfuscate command here. So now we have a way to obfuscate your data so that you can better handle your security. It's not perfect everywhere, and some corporates are okay with that. They can say, okay, I obfuscate, then I send to Odoo. Some have more strict rules. I don't want to send anything, even if it's scripted. And in that case, we also agree to do the service on site. So we can send some people to your company, engineers that will do the upgrade 2-3 days and do it. We just charge for it. Usually the upgrade is free as part of your enterprise contract, but we can do this service if needed. So if your database is just too big to be uploaded, we'll have to do it on site. But we have a solution, that's the good news.
What was the other question? Was it you?
Next question, yes?
Hi, I'm Kevin Matthews, ASP Global Technologies. And the question is, how do you prioritize which countries you develop localizations for? And what's the pathway for developing or getting countries, and I'm speaking specifically about Central America and the Caribbean. What's the pathway to getting these prioritized and the criteria actually?
I didn't hear everything clearly. So you are talking about Mexico or?
No, not necessarily Mexico, but other countries in Central
America, okay.
And the
I don't
Caribbean.
know the status of all of them, but on localization in general first.
Yeah.
In general, our goal is just to do every localization. And it's not so much a matter of priority because we have the teams to do everything. We have a lot of developers, we have a lot of product owners. We can do the job on pretty much everything. Where we struggle usually is just because some regulation, we need time to get an approval and certification, to get the information. So in some countries, we just don't know what to do. To work with the partners so that when we develop something, they can test and we can collaborate in order to. And because of that, what could have been a 1 month development ends up in 6 months, so it takes time. But in general, our principle in terms of localization is we want to do everything. In terms of prioritization, sometimes we have to prioritize, but basically there is no countries where we say, no, we won't do it. It's just some are faster than others. And usually it depends on the contacts we have and the complexity of the country. If the country is simple and we have great community members that help us, it can be very fast. Maybe I should insist on that. We have a lot of partners who say, I want to help you, we did that. And then when we start working with them, things are much slower than we expected. When we ask them to test, they are not available, or they have some code but they don't want to share, so it's always a little bit more complex than when we think. But the idea is that we are very open to that. If you want to make it move forward for a very specific country, what I can recommend you is to go to the all 7. There we have all our localization product owners. There are 7, I think, yes? 7 in the whole 7, easy to remember. And you can discuss with them. And each of them is responsible of a set of countries, so they will route you to the right one, and they will tell you where they are and what they need to move forward faster. It's all 7, I think. Yeah.
Hi, Fabien. I have a question that will require a little bit of context to begin with. I see the speed of Odoo's development improving incredibly. I've been with Odoo since version 10. I see every version more and more new functionalities coming. Even you last year showed the release note, and compared to the previous one, many new things. With the speed of development increasing, personally, I see that Odoo can be the new SAP. Not in the good or not in the bad point of view, but being the dominant ERP system. But having said that, the company growing, the pace of development growing, everything being bigger, faster, better in many cases, sometimes there are step backs. Some functionality gets removed, something gets broken, something gets untested, new uncovered use cases, some functionalities not available for some industries. How do you want to make sure that with the growth of Odoo, you will not become the new SAP also in the bad things? How do you want to make sure Odoo will stay available, sustainable, good support, good documentation to make sure it works?
What do you consider bad in SAP? What do you consider bad in SAP?
It has tremendous great functionality that takes a shitload of time to implement because nobody understands it and you need 10 people to cover all areas and everything. And that is slowly happening to Odoo. So that's one of the elements that I'm wondering, how do you want to make sure it will work in the future?
Okay. I'm just thinking. So, there is what you see and what you don't see. What you see is the keynote, where we show you all the flashy features, lots of things that change, and it feels like, wow, it's great. What you don't see is that everything we show to the keynote, it's 10% of our effort, 20% of our effort. The majority of what we do at Odoo is cleaning up the existing thing. We refactor, we improve our framework, we constantly improve what's existing as a functional point of view and as a technical point of view. The reason why most of these products become shitty over time is because you have lines of managers that all want to put the new AI system, microservice, blockchain, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone comes with features that some people need but not a lot, and then you have a monster of a product. We at Odoo have always been the complete opposite of that. Instead of putting all our effort developing the shiny feature to please the manager, we put all our effort to clean up and refactor what we currently have technically. And it's the reason why Odoo evolved fast. It's because the framework is super clear and simple. And so what you don't see is that 80% of our effort in R&D is to try to avoid this trap of having a product that is more complex. I didn't check the number of lines of code of Odoo 18. I'm pretty sure that despite all the new feature I showed, it's probably smaller than 17. Did you check? Maybe not, but it happens. Because of localization, maybe it increased, but for the rest, for JavaScript and everything, they reduced a lot the code size. So even though you see all the new feature because it's your job to show you what's new, the reality is that the technical depth and the complexity of Odoo is decreasing, except for the localization that we had. So all in all, I think we proved it year after year that we are very down to earth and that the product is made for the long term. I think it's also a matter of focus. Yes, it's 280, 250. Anthony has a good point. I don't know if you heard, so I will tell you. All the features of Odoo, e-commerce, inventory, manufacturing, sales, website builder, everything, in Python, it's 280,000 lines of code. Take any other open source product like Magento Commerce, who only does e-commerce, and they don't do it as good as Odoo, it's 2 million lines of code. And I don't have the number for SCP, but you can be sure that it's 100 million lines of code and above. And it's the same for all the others. Why? Because we have been good year after year at doing that. And what I'm explaining as a product level, I think you can tell it also as a company level. We do the same on our company. We constantly refactor the company like we do for the software. And we also are extremely focused. Most companies, as they grow, they start to launch new departments, new products, new ideas, because every manager has plenty of ideas, and nobody says no, everyone wants to prove himself. And we don't have that at Odoo. You can see even today, with close to 5,000 employees, we only have one product, two actually, Odoo Community, Odoo Enterprise. But it's the same base. We only have one way to deploy, two ways to deploy, Odoo SH, Odoo Online. So we have been very good at not defocusing ourselves and keep focusing on innovation on our single product. So I believe these elements is a guarantee for the future, to not become a monster.
Yep, next one. Okay.
Yes?
Hi, I'm Michael Judd. I'm the author of the UK payroll localization. Just wanted to ask where you're prioritizing your investment to grow in terms of markets and industries for the next year.
In terms of?
Markets, which markets are priorities?
In terms of countries?
Yeah, countries and industries, yeah.
We are demand-driven. So we invest where we already have clients, usually. And it basically means all over the world. The largest country where we have the most revenue is the United States, and it's only 15% of our revenues. So basically, we can say that Odoo is largely spread across a lot of different countries. And so we are not like, okay, we select 5 countries and we do the 5 countries. When we look at our localization tasks, we probably have tasks right now on at least 60 different countries on localization. So we move, sometimes slowly, but we move on everything at the same time. It's the way we usually operate. So I know it's not an answer for you. You would have preferred that I say this country, this country, this country, but it's not the reality. We are a global player online. And so the reality, we have all these localizations moving forward together. There are some that are faster, but not because we prioritize, but because it's easier to implement in several countries. It's just because of that, usually.
Okay.
Yes?
Hello, Fabien. First of all, congrats for the evolution of the product. And
I think we can thank to R&D. We have a very good research and development. I don't know if we have developers here, but if
thank you
so,
to
we
the
can
R&D
thank
team.
them.
So I wanted to ask you, where do you see the top 5 countries in 5 years for Odoo compared to today? And also maybe a subsidiary question, what would be today the top 5 most difficult countries to crack, and for which reasons?
I have a few very different examples in mind. And there are different reasons. Brazil is difficult because their localization is painful. It's really hard. They have plenty of complex tags and everything. But we are getting to a point where I think in a few months it's going to be fully completed. And so in general, this answer works for a lot of things. There are some difficulties. It's just a matter of time. Sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes it's a year. But we usually get it to overpass these localization issues. And I do believe that once we'll have done Brazil, it can be a very fast-growing country. I was surprised at the numbers today and the growth they have, and we don't even have a localization yet. Apart from that, we usually follow the growth of the country. So for instance, we have a super big growth in India, but it's also the fastest GDP growth amongst the large players, large countries. It's more than 8% per year. Even China didn't do that this year. So if a market has a strong traction, obviously it's easier for Odoo to have a faster penetration. In terms of culture, I believe, we are Belgians. Belgians is a microscopic country, 11 million of people. Amongst them, it's split it in between the French and the Dutch. So only 4 million Dutch, 6 million French, and a few German ones. What did I say? It's 6 million French, 4 million. No, with Brussels. I might be wrong. It might be the opposite. But you get to my point. As a Belgian, if you don't think globally, if you cannot adapt, if you cannot speak multiple languages, if you cannot export, you go nowhere. So part of the positive of being in such a negative country is the fact that we are very localization proof. We can easily adapt in its inner mind. It's also the reason why Belgium has always played a very important role at the European level, because we can create agreement between a lot of different people, because it's mandatory for us to act that way. We cannot do it the American way, or the Chinese way. What was your question again? Top 5 countries. It's difficult, and it's also not the way I think. I'm not looking at the KPIs of every country every month, so I don't have some KPIs. There are some countries that I like. For instance, Mexico is growing like crazy. Middle East is growing like crazy. India is growing like crazy. I believe these ones are not to their fullest capacity now. But even the very mature countries, like Belgium, is probably the most mature one. We don't even have 1% of the company. So even on the mature market, what we consider the most advanced market for us, we still have a massive room for improvement. So yeah, I would say Middle East, Mexico, India, but I'm sure I'm missing some. I think you should ask the question to Sébastien, the all sales manager. He probably has better answer than me. Next question.
Yes, I'm Sébastien. And so you've integrated WhatsApp some time ago. Are there plans, and I'm thinking about it especially under the document and synchronization views, do you have plans to integrate other options like, I'm thinking especially OneDrive, for example, from Microsoft?
No.
In link with Odoo?
No. We have plans to replace OneDrive, but not to integrate. I think to understand that, the value of one... I will quote Steve Jobs. For me, OneDrive is not an application. It's just a feature. That's Steve Jobs who said that. I don't think it was OneDrive, but it can apply. No, the idea is that the value of OneDrive is in the feature, in the software itself. The value of WhatsApp is in the network, the fact that everybody uses network. So you cannot replace WhatsApp. You can be the best developer in the world, do better features. Nobody cares. They use WhatsApp. OneDrive is different. There is no or low network effect. It's just what you buy is the capabilities of hosting document features and things like that. On that level, our vision has always been the only way to a very simple IT stack is to have everything integrated, as opposed to connected with different technologies and platforms. And that has made the success of Odoo. Today you deploy Odoo, you can replace easily 10 different software, and it's very simple. So we continue on that vision. But there are some limits. WhatsApp is one. Obviously, we cannot replace WhatsApp, so we connected to it. But OneDrive, easy to replace.
Hi, I have two questions, so I will just ask it. It was difficult to get the mic, so just bear me with that.
I'll come back to you, just ask one.
Okay. Odoo is very good from enterprise features point of view, which is started with Odoo 18, today's keynote and all. Positioning-wise in the market, like, Odoo is very well known from SME point of view. What is the plan of Odoo from a marketing point of view and positioning point of view to position from the enterprise segment point of view? That Odoo is good from an enterprise customer's point of view.
Yes, I think it started. I'm pretty sure the partners in the room have seen a change already over the past 2 years. I mean, nowadays we start to have a lot of demand from large corporate. We have Big Four signing with Odoo for partnership. Pretty much all of them, we are working with them. Sometimes it's not official, but we are working with them. So I think it's really started. We have done a lot of SCP replacement. So for me, it's just a matter of time. They started to notice it, and when you start to notice what you do, there is no way you can't love it. And Odoo has always worked because of the word of mouth. We are not the best in marketing, we are not the best in sales, but we are the best in the product. So it takes time that people like a product, use it, and then refer to other friends. That's the way we work. And that started in the corporate world, because in terms of product, we are there. In terms of product, we are years ahead of any competitor on the market. We had a few gaps that we closed in this version, like consolidation, IFRS, and so on. But apart from that, on all the others, we were top-notch. SAP is not even close to what we do. And I do believe that in the long term, the best product always wins. Takes time, but the best product always wins. So for me, it's just a matter of time. We could say, okay, we'll invest in marketing and do that and this and this. I don't think it's the solution. I think it just takes time. It just takes time because we need the partners to be more mature, to build the service offer. It takes time because of the word of mouth aspect of Odoo. It's the way we grow. But when I say that, it's not a lot of time, it's just a few years. So it's going to be fast, I believe. Yes? Yeah, but it was not his question. Anthony says that one of our biggest challenges is the website builder. It's not related to your question, but Anthony wanted to say it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. The way to crack enterprise, why will we win enterprise? Why do, even today, the large companies come to us? Because we have millions of users. And because we have millions of users, we have a big attraction on the market. We have people that are fans of Odoo, that talk to their friend, and most of these enterprises already have demands of Odoo internally. And Anthony is right. In order to crack this market, we should focus on getting users, even if it's small companies. Because everyone will know Odoo if we have even more millions of users using it. And for that, it's clear that some applications like eSign or the website builder can be very good leverage at making Odoo visible everywhere. Yes?
Hi, Fabien. This is Daniel from Strategic Dimensions, partner in South Africa. A bit of a unique question. We do some business quite a bit with the government in South Africa, government departments. And they typically have, let's say, 150 users internally, but want to engage the public, and the public have to submit applications, be able to track their applications on the systems. And sometimes the public users might be 100,000. The question is more around licensing. Typically, we would have approached that and used the portal users for the public, but we found that requires quite a lot of customization to create the application forms on the front end and the back end. Are there any opportunities from a licensing perspective, or if used from a licensing perspective, not to go the route of a portal user and use the portal interface and have them all as back-end users, and we can control what they can and can't do using the security framework?
Yeah, it's a good question. First, we improved the way to build forms in Odoo 18. Now you can build properties and create forms, and with Studio you can build your web page. So the way to build up the portal has been improved a lot in Odoo 18. But it's not an answer to your question, but it helps. On the licensing point of view, it's tricky because our vision is to offer the lowest price possible. Our price is super cheap. I mean, 20 euro. I don't know how much is it in South Africa, but it's probably $11 or something. 13 $13. It's very low. But with this strategy come a negative aspect is that we have no room for negotiation. We already offer the best we can. And it works for 90% of the case. But there are some 10% of exceptions. HR is one of them. If you only want to do for HR, then our pricing is too expensive. You can find on the market solutions that are cheaper. Or if you have a very specific use case, like 100 user full and then portal user that you would prefer to do it in the backend, that could be an exception too. I'm cautious on what I will say because one case is not another. So typically, our mindset has always been, this is our price, we don't negotiate, except if you have large projects above 1,000 users. But there are exceptions, and we know that. If we are in a case of exception, we usually accept to do specific pricing. And we create a different pricing, mixing the heavy user and the light users. But it's case by case. Sometimes we accept, sometimes we don't accept it. So you have to check with your account manager. Yeah.
Hello. Here.
Maybe wait one more. The reason I say it's case by case is because everybody says they have light users, and obviously we cannot accept. But there are some true cases where we say, okay, that's probably we are off market if we don't do it, and in that case, then we accept to offer a better price. Yes.
Hello. Here from Odoo Dubai. So for 3 years, I asked you to visit us. So I want to thank you for visiting us finally. The question is, what have you found about the Middle East in terms of culture? You've dealt with the office, you've dealt with some customers. What would you say was unique about the Middle East as a market?
In terms of culture? So, first, I love the sales culture we have in Dubai. This is probably what you wanted to hear. But it's true. I mean, these guys, there are a lot of them, I don't know if you are one of them, they came on their own money. So usually we invite 4 or 5 employees to come here and we pay for the cost. But in Dubai, we have 25 people who comes and they pay everything themselves because we don't have the budget. I don't know if you are part of that. They are there. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Sorry? Yeah, I know he's coming so it shows the level of commitment that you guys may have, because I know it's a personal effort and not everybody would have done that. And I was thinking about sales. I love what you do in sales, for instance. And I have the Dubai director here, so I have to take care of what I say. For instance, I have a good example is that I always believe that outbound is bad, outbound sales. We have tried over the past, it never worked. I didn't like because there is a high customer acquisition cost, and everything we do at Odoo is to reduce our price because we want to offer the lowest price possible. But in Dubai, you did it and you made it happen. I don't know how. We still are trying to replicate it in other countries. But no, how many outbound do you have? 4? And now you have 45 people doing outbound and with super good numbers. So I like this mentality of like everything's feasible. You have some of the shittiest country you can get. They have war, they have everything, and yet you still succeed to do a lot of business. So there is a mindset which is cool in Dubai. Hope it answers the questions.
Hi, Fabien. Yeah. Thank you very much for answering our questions. We started with OpenERP 6, the GTK version and stuff, and we come a long way. So my question is, where do you see the product going in the next 5 years? Because
it's an impossible question.
But in terms of, you started developing a lot of apps, then you started using user experience and...
Okay, so the vision remains the same. Everything we can do to help our users, which are the employees of the company, the managers, the employees, the cashier, the accountant, it is our focus. So if we can simplify the entry barrier with usability, if we can make them work faster because they have better tools, that is our focus. But in order to translate that vision into actual features, what we should develop, it's very hard. Usually we start the year of saying, how can we do better? I mean, we have done 18 now. Do we have ID? Usually we don't even have ID at the beginning of the year. And we are like, we will never do better. And every year, because of the way we are organized, the iteration process, the open mindset we have, getting the feedback of it, every year, I think, at least over the past 7 years, we have succeeded. So we have to trust the process because I have no better answer.
Hi, yes? I have a question regarding the ownership structure of Odoo. So I think you probably are the biggest asset of Odoo. And I'm a bit worried about what happens when you die. So
we all gonna cry.
What are your plans to uphold your legacy?
And I think my daughter is in the room, so I have to take care. So you have to bet on her. No, I'm kidding. Yes and no. I mean, you don't create a company of 4,800 employees with just one man. Obviously, if it works, it's because we have great managers, we have great directors, we have great teams. So it's not me. Of course, I help a little bit. I hope I'm useful. But I'm pretty sure that Odoo without me will still be a rocket company. So I think we are pretty safe now. Wouldn't have been the case in 2012 or 13, but I think now we are safe even if I die tomorrow.
Can you share some business updates on how much did Odoo grow in the last year? How did the different regions fare against each other?
Yes. Do I have internet here? Yes. The good thing of having a good management software is you don't need to have a memory. You can just look. So these are the revenue. Let's check if I have. Yes. We don't charge from this company, huh? So did you? No. Okay. So this is the evolution of the revenue, month by month over the past 10 years or more. And if you want it by country, that's going to be a mess. Let's try. There will be too much. Let's just do the last 12 months. We still have to upgrade our own production database to the platform Anthony showed this morning. But anyway, it's still not so slow. We are operating actually with, how many journal items do we have? I think it's something like 50 million. Right? Journal items? I don't know. So let's see that in a pie chart. So these are the revenue by country. Let's have a look. United States, Belgium. For a small country, it's good, but we are Belgium. France, what do we have? Mexico, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Switzerland, UAE, Canada, Egypt, Luxembourg, Italy. So this gives you an idea of where we are. That's the current snapshot. Is there a few countries you'd like to see specifically? Because if I put everything in a graph, do you know that you see the number of countries?
Just US. US.
Just US? Yeah. Okay. Give me a few more. France, Mexico, Spain.
Australia. Australia and Hong Kong.
Germany, India, Mexico, I did it already. Ah, no, I didn't.
Australia.
Okay. Let's have a look. And let's do it not like this, by months and then by country. By months is maybe too much. Let's do it by quarter or by year. Yes. So what's growing the most here? It's difficult to say. Let's do it by year. So some of the small countries, like India, is very small because we actually started only 1 year ago. But I bet a lot on it. I'll show you after if I remove the others. So I did an analysis per year, I think. Oh no, not by country, by year, and after by country. Takes a few seconds because we analyze real time on 60 million of data and 16 different companies. But here is the trends on these countries. So we have here France. No, that's the light one. It's Germany. Germany, it's decreasing because the year is not finished, obviously. Germany is working well since 5 years. This one is incredible. France, I'm surprised by France. India looks like nothing now. Spain is growing. You see there was nothing now, it's a lot. US, obviously, because it's a big market, so it's much bigger, it's easier to sell. Mexico growing super fast, you see. And Saudi Arabia. No, let's just get with India. Because everything is relative. You see India? Boom. So we went from 1.93, we'll be at 6, so close to 2, by 100% growth every year. And if I go to Mexico, no, everything but Mexico. A very strong one too. 11 million, 19 to 19, so 80%, 85% growth, and we'll probably do the same this year. Hope it answers your question. Yes, next question.
So in general, the majority of developers are men. So I wanted to know what is Odoo doing to close the gap between men and women and to achieve parity in the development team?
Why would we achieve parity? I mean, why would you lower your standards? I will explain. Today, we recruit developers based on merit. So we have tests, and we take the ones who succeed the test, and we have a level of expectation, and everyone who exceeds these tests, we recruit. And because less women apply, we obviously end up with less women, but the percentage of acceptation between both is probably the same. I didn't check who's the smartest, I don't care, but today the idea is that we recruit based on merit. And as we do that in Belgium, in R&D, I think we have something like 5% of women. We have more in service, but in R&D we have 5%. So if we define a strategy where we say we want 50% women and 50% men in R&D, what does that mean? It means that the men have to do 90% success on our test, and we accept women if they do 30%. Would it be fair? I think it's shit. We don't want to lower our standards. So, and we are seeing that with, I'm pretty sure you are European, no? Or maybe you're American. Friends, yes. You would have been an Indian, you would never have asked this question. And I will tell you why. It's either European or American, but United States. And I will tell you why. In India, I have more than 50% of the developers are girls. And it's fine, and it's good. Why? Because there is more girls that apply. It's just that. So what we do, we just follow the market. If girls are not interested into development, and it's the case, because only a very few apply to do, fine, be with it. They probably have other jobs in other things, and it's good too. So the idea of parity for me is like negative discrimination. Well, it's like or positive discrimination, but it is a discrimination. I think it's bad. I think we should recruit everybody for their merit and not because of the fact that they are white or woman or black or whatever. I mean, even if I would be a woman, I am not. But let's say I would have been, for the sake of the example. I don't want the company to recruit me if I do 20% score at their test just because I'm a woman. I mean, who would want that? You want to be recruited for what you are worth. So yes, it's true. In Europe, there is less women interested in development. I would have preferred that there is more, but it's a fact. No, so we have to deal with it. If you want that to change, check the government. It probably starts at the primary and secondary school. What they can do to interest more people to this study, but it's not up to us to decrease our standard, to lower the quality, to create parity when even the woman doesn't want to, because otherwise they would have applied.
Hello.
Yes?
I'm here.
Last one.
Sanna from Denmark. I have a question regarding the classification of the partners. We have ready, silver, gold. In Denmark, we see it as a little bit of a problem that it doesn't really tell the customers who you are as a partner. Because we have been partner for 10 years. We have been gold partner, but because of lack of new customers, because we focused on our existing customers, making them happy and develop them as a customer.
Okay.
We haven't been able to reach the gold.
Okay.
So they think we are already partner.
In my opinion, if you do more, so there is two things. You can recruit new clients and deploy more clients, and you can manage your existing client. In my opinion, a partner who do a lot of new clients is probably more experienced than one that doesn't do new clients. For instance, he's aware of version 17 and 18 and everything. And I agree, this is not perfect. I mean, the problem with the classification system is that none of them is perfect. All of them are bad, I would say. So we had to choose the least bad ones. But I believe the criteria we use, which are here, are the most fair we could do, because we needed a criteria which is measurable. We cannot do it based on a subjective from our account manager or from what the client says. That would be very bad. That would create frustration among partners. Why do you say he's that and I'm this? So we have to rely on KPIs. And based on the KPIs, these are the best KPIs we have. And we don't judge on one KPI, and we judge on three. The threes are how many new users can you do? 10 users, 75, and 300. How many certified engineers do you have? 1, 3, or 6? And what is your retention rate? In a way, are your customers happy? 70% to become a silver. 80% retention rate is the minimum to be a gold. And you need to satisfy the three KPIs. I believe it's a good system because one shows your capability of onboarding new user. You can be very good at supporting existing clients, have a good support, help desk and everything, but doing implementation is another job. The other one is the competencies you have. 6 certified engineers is obviously better than 1, at least on the new version. And the third one is you prove that you can keep your clients, so you are offering a good job. And I agree, it's not perfect. There is a chance that you are a super good partner, but unfortunately, because you focus on something and you get ready. The problem is that I have no better KPI. But in general, I think these KPIs are good. In general, when you see a gold partner and when you see a ready partner, not all the time, but 80% of the time, the gold partners are way more expertise. Why? Because he did more projects. He did like 10 times more projects. It's a good sign, even though it might not have been as good at the beginning. Once you have done 10 projects, you have more expertise. Yeah, I agree. I'm saying that the KPIs are not perfect. And I agree that there are some exceptions. I'm sure we have ready partners that are better than some gold partners. But in general, they are more or less representative, not all the time. A what? Is that? Yes. Is there? No, you have to satisfy the tree. No, it's not like if you satisfy only No, you have to satisfy the theory. So if you do 500 users, but you don't do quality because your clients are leaving after 1 year, you will miss the retention rate, but you will have the new users KPI. You cannot be gold. You will be ready or silver. So you have to get the three: certification, competencies, retention rate, clients happy, and new clients' capability of doing implementations. And I do apologize because I know it's bad to be judged on KPI. I usually hate KPIs, but I have no other way to rank the partner in a fair way, I mean, in a systematic and measurable way. Okay, thanks everyone. Unfortunately, we have to close that.